Hello everyone and welcome. This recording is related to the lab session of thermodynamics. So this is to give you an idea about the air compressor and about what you might have done if you have attended the lab sessions this semester. So we've got this air compressor and this one here, which is a bit older than the first one. As you may have noticed, at the moment I'm keeping the motor speed very low because the noise that the air compressor would do when we go up with the motor speed is quite high. So for the recording time, as you notice, as we go up, the noises go high. So I'll keep it down and then we will go through the operation of this air compressor, and then at the end we might take it up till about 950 revolutions per minute, where we can see the speed here. So for the air compressor, you see we have the controls, we've got the auxiliary power, the drive enable and disable here, the main switch, and then the speed control where I can control the speed of the compressor. We've got water that goes in from the water supply. Compressed liquid, definitely it's water coming from the tap, and then we get to control the water flow through this water flow control. As you notice here, this screen is quite important for our lab demonstration. You will also see this screen here. You will also see it in your lab instruction. It shows the different paths of the air and the water. So if you notice here, that's where the air goes in, and then it goes through the air filter and then into the compressor. We notice here T1, which is temperature 1. So here we have a temperature sensor. The air goes into the compressor and then goes out at T2, where also we have a pressure sensor P2. So at point 2, we've got a temperature sensor and a pressure sensor. You may notice as well that this pipe here is colored blue, while this one here is colored red. And that's what we would expect, that the temperature in the red parts is much higher than the temperature in the blue parts. The air would continue its path into the heat exchanger, where it enters the heat exchanger at T3, and then it goes out at T4 into the receiver, and then after the receiver through the airflow filter, and then through the airflow sensor. Point 7, where we have the temperature, is after the receiver, and then the air goes through a silencer and then to the outside. You can notice here as well we have the motor, and the motor drives the compressor. Definitely the motor is driven by electrical power. So why I like this sheet, because it gives us an idea about the whole operation of this air compressor. Also, it shows us the path of water. So the water goes in through a pressure reducing valve, then through a water flow sensor into the heat exchanger at a temperature T5, and it goes out at a temperature T6, and then to the outside. If you were here in the lab, the objective is to record these data, which are T1 up to T7, as well as the load sensor, the motor speed, the motor power, water flow rate, airflow, and the gauge pressure. Okay, so technically for different motor speeds, you would have different values. And during the lab, normally we take recordings of 3 sets of data, where say we take the recording at this time here, and then we wait 5 minutes, and then we take another measurement, and then a third measurement after another 5 minutes, and we take the average to use in our lab report calculations. So that's in terms of this screen here. We need to pay attention for this gauge pressure P2 in kilopascals. Actually, we take the measurement as a gauge pressure. However, when you use it in your calculations, you need to change it to absolute pressure, and that's by adding the ambient pressure to the pressure P2 to the measurement which you take from the screen. Now, since we went through this screen, let's see physically what we've got in the air compressor. So you may see this is where the air goes in. That's the filter, and then from the filter through this blue pipe into the air compressor, which is this one. Afterwards, the air goes through the red pipe. Normally it should be hotter than this, but now because we are operating at a low RPM, maybe it's now around 40 degrees. You can as well note these sensors. See this one, it says T2, and that's what you need to look at on your screen to know where is its position. Then we've got T1 here, and after the air compressor, the air would go out through this red